Warning, this podcast contains violence, sexuality, gore, and other horrible and disturbing things. Listener discretion is advised. Also, the hosts of this venture are ignorant dipshits, so please do not take anything they say as fact. And enjoy the show.
Now, are you sitting comfortably? Good. Then we'll begin.
Today we had 15 homicides and 63 violent crimes, as if that's the way it's supposed to be.
It is our basic human right to be fucked up.
A second plane now has crashed into the other tower of the World Trade Center.
Putting chemicals in the water that turn the friggin' frogs gay.
The defendant shall be incarcerated for the rest of her natural life with no possibility of parole.
You are not machines. You are not cattle. You are men.
We were somewhere around Barstow, on the edge of the desert, when the drugs began to take hold.
Occultae Veritatis.
Hello, occultists, and welcome back to Occultae Veritatis podcast. My name is Leon the Sauce Boss Filger, along with
Sageberry.
Dude, Gallifrey.
I don't even know who I am today. No, I'm not Sage, right? Leon Filger. It's been a long day.
I'm the soundboard demon, and I won't be on the mic because I'm going to deliver pain.
And joining us in studio,
Don Kessler.
Ellie B.
So, back in the year 2000, Richard Bigley and I went spelunking in a cave called La Caverne La Flèche in Val-de-Mont, Quebec, about 30 minutes outside Ottawa.
Oh, is that what they're calling it nowadays?
Yeah, that's the same joke. Yeah.
It was in this cave that we got the opportunity to interact with bats, which are essentially pet hamsters with wings. The bats at La Caverne La Flèche are of the little brown variety and have a diet of flying insects, including moths and mosquitoes. If you think you get the munchies when you're stoned, you ain't got nothing on a lactating little brown bat. In the first 3 hours of the night, they can consume 125% of their body weight in insects.
And then Leon tries to milk them because they're lactating.
And this is why I love little brown bats. This species is not closely related to the much larger big brown bat, although they do have a similar range, namely the bulk of North America, including all of Canada south of the territories. So little brown bats pose absolutely no threat to humans, but are often treated as pests in urban areas especially, as they like to roost in spaces that are populated by humans.
Did you know that your condo building is full of bats?
No.
Fun fact.
Cool.
Not like yours specifically, but like the upper levels.
Big Brown Bat is the name of my implement when I play baseball.
Penis.
Yeah, but I've heard these bats sneak into houses and drain the blood from babies as they're sleeping.
Okay, so they can squeeze. They can squeeze into very tight spaces and are. Little brown bats pose absolutely no threat to humans, but are often treated as pests in urban areas especially, as they like to roost in spaces that are populated by humans. They can squeeze into very tight spaces, and so are found living in walls, under eaves, etc. The big problem with these bats is that they shit constantly, and their shit is a food source for some insect species. Their shit, also known as guano, is also quite smelly, as most excrement tends to be. Now, when Richard Bigley and I were in that cave in Quebec, we met quite a few little brown bats, and if I recall correctly, we thought they were pretty cute. Contrary to popular belief, little brown bats rarely carry rabies or any other illness problematic to humans. They do, however, carry a fungus that causes something called white nose syndrome, or WNS. WNS has resulted in the deaths of millions of little brown bats since it was first identified in a cave in New York State in 2006. As a direct result of WNS, little brown bats are now considered an endangered species. Due to their massive hunting rage and sexual promiscuity, it's impossible to stop the spread of WNS, and it is likely that populations will continue to dwindle. WNS has been shown to kill up to 99% of members of the same hibernacula, and the population of little brown bats in eastern Canada have been reduced by 90% as a result.
Oh no! As
of March 2016, white nose syndrome had been identified in the entire North American population.
And the majority of oil workers.
The white nose syndrome is a fungus that's affecting bats in the Northeast. It was discovered in 2006 in Schoharie County, New York. then that's what we call ground zero, because that's where it was first introduced, which is Schoharie Caves is a commercial site, and it's believed that the fungus was introduced by spelunkers inadvertently. But the fungus affects bats. It causes them to consume their body fat prematurely, and the bats arouse from hibernation early before they are capable to withstand the temperatures. This is causing a dramatic decline in the population. Some little brown bat populations have been reduced by up to 99%. As a matter of fact, in Pennsylvania, 99% of the common little brown bat is missing from its hibernation sites. The fungus is believed to be introduced because it's genetically identical to a fungus in Eurasia. So we've always wondered why the bat populations in Europe and Asia have been much less than they are in North America. Now we think we understand why. The bats in Europe and Asia have already been through white nose syndrome, and the populations that are repopulating the old world are those that are resistant to the disease. And we now believe the disease is introduced in the North America, and it's going to spread unchecked until it runs its course. But there are populations of resistance that hopefully will allow for the rebuilding of the populations, but it'll probably take centuries. The impact of white nose syndrome is that we have less predators of night-flying insects. So you may notice less bats in the air in the sky on summer evenings, and more mosquitoes, midges, gnats, and other flying insects, insect pests.
One of the ideas we have is that it's not about eradicating the fungus. At this point, that's essentially impossible. But what you can do is if you delay the severity of that disease from peaking in, say, January to peaking in March, a larger portion of that population is likely to be able to survive and recover on their own. My role is in the development of the Rhodococcus bacteria as the treatment. Rhodococcus was originally investigated at Georgia State University for a litany of different industrial applications and its ability to delay the ripening of fruits and vegetables. That also, the fruits and vegetables had lower fungal burdens. And so I thought that if this bacteria can prevent mold from growing on a banana, perhaps it can prevent mold from growing on a bat.
Actually, after it invades the surface of their wings and gets under the epidermis, it gets into the deeper layers of tissue. And access to bats in their natural hibernacula isn't always easy. Sometimes they're very large clusters that are way higher than you could access to treat with traditional treatments. They're very sensitive animals. And so they have been susceptible to toxicity from some of the things that have been previously tried. So that's one of the good sides of this product, is that you don't actually have to handle them.
My hopes are that we can stay off the regional extinction that's been predicted, and that 20, 30 years from now, there will still be bats in the sky in Missouri and Georgia and Pennsylvania catching insects under lampposts.
Just to give you an idea, these were infected bats, and their wings have completely healed, and they're basically clean. And most of the bats from this group had quite a lot of infection in their wings. Ooh, keep an eye on him.
I'm surprised they haven't found a prophylactic for the little brown bat.
Little brown bats are not found in Florida, but our first sauce is. This sauce comes to us all the way from Orlando. In the #1 spot is Fat Cat Gourmet's Strawberry Serrano Hot Sauce. The bottle suggests using it as a topping for cheesecake, so it's probably not too hot.
Little kick. Kind of sweet.
That's I'd have that on a salad.
Yeah. Make a good dressing, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I say a little kick, that's like a Thumbelina-sized foot, you know?
It's not nothing.
It's hotter than HP sauce.
Oh.
Hotter than mayonnaise.
That's right, hotter than mayonnaise.
This would be good as just like a covering for a chicken wing, actually. Just the whole chicken wing sauce.
Back to the topic of bats, particularly their shit. The excrement of bats and seabirds is called guano, and it's pretty useful stuff. Guano is a highly effective fertilizer due to the high content of nitrogen, phosphate, and potassium, all key nutrients essential for plant growth. Guano was also, to a lesser extent, sought for the production of gunpowder and other explosive materials. The 19th century seabird guano trade played a pivotal role in the development of modern input-intensive farming. The demand for guano spurred the human colonization of remote bird islands in many parts of the world. Unsustainable seabird guano mining processes can result in permanent habitat destruction and the loss of millions of seabirds. Bat guano is found in caves throughout the world. Many cave ecosystems are wholly dependent on bats to provide nutrients via their guano, which supports bacteria, fungi, invertebrates, and vertebrates. The loss of bats from a cave can result in the extinction of species that rely on their poop. Unsustainable harvesting of bat guano may cause bats to abandon their roost. And up next, we have a reading from Richard Bigley.
Bat guano is partially decomposed bat excrement and has an organic matter content greater than 40% as a source of nitrogen and may contain up to 6% available phosphate. The feces of insectivorous bats consists of fine particles of insect exoskeleton, which is largely composed of chitin. Elements found in large concentrations include nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, and trace elements needed for plant growth. Chitin from insect exoskeletons is an essential compound needed by soil fungi to grow and expand. Chitin is a major component in fungal cell wall membranes, and the growth of beneficial fungi adds to soil fertility. Bat guano composition varies between species with different diets. Insectivorous bats, such as our little brown bats, are the only species that congregate in large enough numbers to produce sufficient guano for sustainable harvesting.
So, like, those are the only bats in North America that actually produce big enough piles of guano to form an ecosystem, eh?
You bet.
Okay.
Well, not to form an ecosystem, but to be enough for it to be worth it to harvest it.
Makes sense. Yeah.
So the earliest European records noting the use of guano as fertilizer date back to 1548. Although the first shipments of guano reached Spain as early as 1700, it did not become a popular product in Europe until the 19th century. The arrival of commercial whaling on the Pacific coast of South America contributed to scaling up of its guano industry. Whaling vessels carried consumer goods to Peru, such as textiles, flour, and lard. Unequal trade meant that ships returning north were almost half empty, leaving entrepreneurs in search of profitable goods that could be easily exported. In 1840, Peruvian politician and entrepreneur Francisco Quillas Ampuada negotiated a deal to commercialize guano export among a merchant house in Liverpool, a group of French businessmen, and the Peruvian government. This agreement resulted in the abolition of all pre-existing claims to Peruvian guano. Thereafter, it was the exclusive resource of the state. By nationalizing its guano resources, the Peruvian government was able to collect royalties on its sale, becoming the country's largest source of revenue. Some of this socialist batshit income was used by the state to free its more than 25,000 black slaves before anyone else did it. Peru also used guano revenue to abolish the head tax on its indigenous citizens. This export of guano from Peru to Europe has been suggested as the vehicle that brought a virulent strain of potato blight from the Andean highlands that began the Great Famine of Ireland. Peru achieved its greatest ever export of guano in 1870 at more than 700,000 tons.
Jesus.
That's a lot of shit.
Yeah, who knew shit was so important in history?
The infrastructure behind that to upkeep it is interesting because, like, an industry like mining, you can just scrape the surface of the earth and, like, basically destroy the environment to get what's underneath. But if you're collecting bat guano, you got to keep the bats happy, which means you got to keep them well fed with insects, and insects usually come from a healthy, like, environment. So you can't really sully the environment if you still want to pull hundreds of tons of bat poo out every year.
There's a shitload of things to worry about.
So bat shit isn't just useful as a fertilizer and ammunition source. It's also used around the world in construction. When combined with straw and baked, guano bricks attain nearly the hardness of concrete.
Fuck off, really.
He's just like, the shit gets baked too.
You can actually make shit brick houses. No way.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Guano is one of the habitats of the fungus Histoplasma capsulacin, which can cause the disease histoplasmosis in humans, cats, and dogs. H. capsulatum grows best in the nitrogen-rich conditions present in guano. In the United States, histoplasmosis affects 3.4 adults per 100,000 over age 65, with higher rates in the Midwestern United States at 6.1 cases per 100,000. In addition to the United States, H. capsulatum is found in Central and South Africa, America, Asia, and Australia. Of 105 outbreaks in the U.S. from 1938 to 1913, 17 occurred after exposure to a chicken coop, while 9 occurred after exposure to a cave. Birds or their droppings were present in 56% of outbreaks, while bats or their droppings were present in 23%. Developing any symptoms of exposure to Apis capsulatum is very rare, and less than 1% of those infected develop symptoms. Only patients with more severe cases require medical attention, and only about 1% of acute cases are actually fatal. It's much more serious illness for the immunocompromised, however. Histoplasmosis is the first symptom of HIV/AIDS in 50 to 75% of patients and results in death for 39 to 58% of those with HIV/AIDS. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention recommends that the immunocompromised avoid exploring caves or old buildings, cleaning chicken coops, or disturbing soil where guano is present. So don't play with shit, kids. It's probably not good for you.
How do you treat histoplasmosis?
I have no fucking idea.
What about?
Before I was diagnosed with histo, I had no knowledge that this was even possible in a human. I didn't realize a human could get a fungal disease in their lungs. I believe I was exposed to histoplasmosis when we re-landscaped our yard. This used to be an area with 5 huge red twig dogwoods that were taller than the soffit on the garage. We tore out every shrub, bush, perennial, everything in our yard. Histoplasmosis is in our soils, and it's more prevalent in soils that have bird or bat droppings. My neighborhood happens to be built on an old turkey farm. We were pulling roots and dealing in dirt. It's rare for the histoplasmosis to develop the way it did, and it's very serious. It's treatable, but doctors need to look for it. When you have someone presenting with symptoms like I have, a cough that wouldn't go away, a headache, a low-grade fever, fatigue, wheezing, and shortness of breath, that's not getting better on traditional courses of antibiotics, you need to look for histo. The whole time from start to finish, from first doctor visit to diagnosis, is about 2 months.
10 years ago in Ponoka, Donna Rudd found a dead bat in her basement vent and vacuumed out the droppings.
I had developed a severe muscle pain, dehydration, joint pain.
It was one of the first recorded cases of histoplasmosis in Alberta with no travel history. Now a new study confirms 45 cases in the province between 2011 and 2018, 15 acquired here. The rare fungal infection comes from inhaling spores found in bat or bird droppings or soil.
So typically you think of travel to the Ohio and Mississippi river valleys, as well as southern Ontario and Quebec. But we were seeing cases where patients hadn't traveled.
Dr. Tanis Dingle says those were mainly in rural areas of central Alberta and likely related to construction.
So proximity to construction sites, or in people's homes, if they were doing older homes, if they were doing construction, or even cleaning out churches, old churches.
It's not known how many of the cases were from bats, but Dr. Vikram Misra says the animals carry all kinds of microbes, likely including the virus that led to the COVID-19 pandemic.
Bats and viruses have a very special relationship that they've evolved over the millions of years.
Bat immune systems prevent them from getting sick and becoming infectious unless they're stressed.
I mean, their habitats are shrinking, and so there's more contact between bats and people.
Dr. Dingle adds climate change could also contribute to spore survival in soil. Histoplasmosis can be mistaken for the flu or pneumonia, so physicians need to know it can happen in Alberta.
It's just something for doctors to consider in patients that have compatible symptoms.
And with that, it's time for our next sauce. Occupying the number 2 spot from the Cajun Power Sauce Company out of Abbeville, Louisiana, is their Cajun Power Spicy Garlic Pepper Sauce. The bottle doesn't offer much in the way of information, but I suspect I bought this sauce because it was cheap and in a 10-ounce bottle.
You look like you're dying over there.
It's so sour.
I love it. That was a really good one.
Mm-hmm.
It's like...
No, it's not spicy. It's just like garlicky and soury and yummy.
Sucking a lemon's asshole after it's bathed in garlic.
Love me a vinegary one.
Yeah, that wasn't too bad.
Okay.
I'd put that on popcorn.
Yeah.
So in the last segment, I talked briefly about HIV/AIDS, and I feel like we should talk about it a bit more. The human immunodeficiency virus, or HIV, is 2 species of lentivirus, a subgroup of retrovirus, that infect humans. Over time, they cause acquired immunodeficiency syndrome, or AIDS, a condition which progressive failure of the immune system allows life-threatening opportunistic infections and cancers to thrive. Without treatment, average survival time after infection with HIV is estimated to be 9 to 11 years, depending on the HIV subtype. And now it's time for a reading by LEB.
In most cases, HIV is a sexually transmitted infection and occurs by contact with or transfer of blood, pre-ejaculate, semen, and vaginal fluids. Non-sexual transmission can occur from an infected mother to her infant during pregnancy, during childbirth by exposure to her blood or vaginal fluid, and through breast milk. Within these bodily fluids, HIV is present as both free virus particles and virus within infected immune cells. Research has shown for both same-sex and opposite-sex couples that HIV is untransmissible through condomless sexual intercourse if the HIV-positive partner has a consistently undetectable viral load. It should be noted that in our home province of Saskatchewan, neither the sharing of dirty needles nor sexual intercourse between men who have sex with men are the primary spreaders. Rather, the majority of HIV spread in Saskatchewan is caused by unprotected heterosexual sex. So condoms, people. And get tested if you're not 100% sure that you're negative. Actually, just get tested anyway.
Do you want to go for couples STI testing? Can we do it?
So
can
romantic.
Can we bring the mobile recording rig
Guys,
with us?
save the dirty talk for after.
Last time I did a test, I was free and clear, and it also told me that I have no indications of any prior syphilis infections.
Nice.
So apparently syphilis, if you get syphilis, will leave some sort of lasting evidence of infection, but I have none. So I am...
You have never had syphilis.
I have no syphilis, no chlamydia, no gonorrhea, no HIV.
And that test didn't cost you any money?
No, you just Canadian healthcare, man.
Yeah,
you
it's
go
absolutely free.
You just bleed into a bunch of tubes, and then they send it away, make you piss in a cup.
Sometimes they'll even let you jam a Q-tip up your asshole.
Yeah. So HIV, or human immunodeficiency virus, is a virus that attacks the body's immune system. If HIV is not treated, it can lead to AIDS, which is acquired immunodeficiency syndrome. There is currently no effective cure. Once people get HIV, they have it for life. But with proper medical care, HIV can be controlled. People with HIV who get effective HIV treatment can live long, healthy lives and protect their partners from infection. HIV infection in humans came from a type of chimpanzee in Central Africa. Studies show that HIV may have jumped from chimpanzees to humans as far back as the late 1800s. The chimpanzee version of the virus is called the simian immunodeficiency virus, and it was probably passed to humans when humans hunted these chimps for meat and came in contact with their infected blood, not, as popular opinion would dictate, by fucking them in the ass. Over decades, HIV slowly spread across Africa and later into other parts of the world, and the virus has existed in the United States since at least the mid to late 1970s. And when people with HIV don't get treatment, they typically progress through 3 stages. But HIV treatments can slow or prevent progression of the disease. With advances in HIV treatment, progression onto stage 3, or AIDS, is less common today than in the early years of HIV. So stage 1 is acute HIV infection. So people have a large amount of HIV in their blood and are very contagious. Many people will have flu-like symptoms. So if you have flu-like symptoms and think you may have been exposed to HIV, get tested. Stage 2 is chronic infection. This stage is also called asymptomatic HIV infection or clinical latency. HIV is still active and continues to reproduce in the body. People may not have any symptoms or get sick during this phase, but they can transmit HIV. And people who take HIV treatments as prescribed may never move into stage 3. Without HIV treatment, this stage may last a decade or longer, or may progress faster. And at the end of this stage, the amount of HIV in the blood or viral load goes up and the person may move on to stage 3, AIDS. So stage 3 is acquired immunodeficiency syndrome. It's the most severe stage of HIV infection. People with AIDS can have a high viral load and may easily transmit HIV to others. People with AIDS have a badly damaged immune system. They can get an increasing number of opportunistic infections and other serious illnesses.
If you look at all the advances in research and public health with HIV/AIDS, one can say really very confidently that in the arena of treatment have been the most dramatic and positive events. For example, I was seeing patients in our clinic in the summer of 1981, in the fall and years thereafter. They usually presented with advanced disease. We didn't know what it was. We didn't identify the virus yet. So people would come in with a median survival of 6 to 8 months. It was a very dark period of my medical career because virtually all of the patients died in less than a year. If you fast forward now with the development of a whole menu of more than 30 drugs, which when used in combination can remarkably transform the lives of HIV-infected individuals, if a sane person today, 30 years later, comes into our clinic, let's say a 25-year-old man or woman who comes in who was recently infected with HIV, and I put them and they take the medicines of the combination of drugs that are available, you can mathematically predict and tell that person that they can expect to live an additional 50 years. So the advances that have been made have been most extraordinary over the last 30 years.
Researchers say a fifth person has been cured of HIV after a high-risk stem cell transplant. The findings were published in the journal Nature after a 53-year-old man in Germany showed no detectable virus in his body after stopping his HIV medications for more than 4 years. It's worth noting that this patient joins a small group of people who have been said to be cured of HIV under extreme circumstances. ABC News medical contributor and emergency medicine physician Dr. Darian Sutton joins me now to discuss this. Dr. Sutton, good to see you. So HIV.gov says more than 38 million people in 2021 globally are living with HIV. Of that, 38 million, 1.2 million in the U.S., are living with the virus. Walk us through how this patient was apparently cured of HIV.
Good afternoon, Alexis. This is another remarkable breakthrough that adds to the years and decades, of research that have been done to find a cure for HIV. In this particular case, this was a 53-year-old male who had been previously diagnosed with HIV. In 2011, he was unfortunately diagnosed with leukemia, for which he was given chemotherapy and a stem cell transplant. Now, what's important about this case is that his stem cell transplant came from a donor who was naturally resistant against HIV. Many may not know, but there's a small percentage of the population that don't have the receptors needed for HIV to bind and cause infection. And after that transplant, this patient then began to develop new and healthy cells. And as you said, since 2018, he has not needed any HIV medication or treatment and has been continuously tested. And there have been no detectable signs of the HIV virus, which is this is what makes it a remarkable and a breakthrough.
Yeah, truly remarkable. But I know this treatment is not one that everyone with HIV can undergo, right? There are some risks and some limitations here.
Stem cell transplants are an incredibly risky procedure. Right now, they are only retained for those who absolutely need it with life-threatening conditions, for example, like leukemia. With stem cell transplants, patients do need chemotherapy to get rid of the dysfunctional and diseased cells, but that can cause significant immune suppression, which can make patients susceptible to life-threatening infections. There's also the risk that stem cell transplants can be rejected from patients, which can also be life-threatening. So hopefully more research comes where we can get a possible treatment or cure without the risks associated with something like this.
But, as the world races to end the HIV epidemic, Doctor, HIV and AIDS treatments and prevention continues to advance, right? There are so many resources available, thankfully. Two of the biggest ones are called PEP and PrEP. Can you break that down for us?
Absolutely. So thanks to modern medication, people with HIV can live long and healthy lives. And thanks to medication, those who consistently take it and are undetectable will not transfer it to their sexual partners. And like you said, we also have medications for prophylaxis or prevention. We call it PrEP, or pre-exposure prophylaxis. It's a medication that, if taken daily, can significantly reduce one's chances of getting infected with HIV. And we also have PEP, which is post-exposure prophylaxis. And that is for patients who may have a high-risk interaction that come into the emergency room, and that medication I can provide and prescribe that can substantially still reduce their risk after the intervention that might have caused their exposure.
And when we talk about the medicines that allow people living with HIV to live a healthy life, there's something called undetectable equals untransmittable. Remind us what that means and why it's important.
Such an important thing to remember. It has been dedicated research has been done to understand this concept. And we now understand that those who have HIV, who consistently take their medication and are consistently undetectable, cannot transfer it to their sexual partners. Now, that means that people who are healthy and living their well lives and taking their medications regularly cannot produce that risk for their sexual and intimate partners. And that is something that, unfortunately, is not well known. And I'm hopeful that more people will understand it to hopefully decrease the stigma associated with this diagnosis.
Dr. Darian Sutton, thank you.
And 3 is the number of our next sauce. So this sauce is made by the Pick-a-Pepper Company in Manchester, Jamaica. This is their flagship offering, simply called Pick-a-Pepper sauce. It's really dark in color, and the bottle says it can be stored at room temperature, which is a bit suspicious.
That just means that there's a mass amount of like sulfites and smoke and
it smells good.
vinegar in there.
That's
it tastes like HP sauce.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? That's pretty damn good.
Mm-hmm. Not spicy at all, though.
Not as spicy as the last one was,
no.
But it's very vinegary, but yeah, HP or Worcestershire.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Blow into my nose.
So romantic.
Yeah, I've literally tasted like grocery store barbecue sauces that are hotter than this.
Yeah.
And the flavor's good. It's a good flavor. I'd put this on a bunch of stuff, but it's not. This is meh.
Tastes like a brown sauce, really. Just,
It's still tasty. I'd throw it on chicken or beef or anything, really.
Or dip your steak in it or what have you.
Yeah, I'd probably eat it if it didn't have the mango in it.
Yeah.
Okay, so while we're on the topic of sexually transmitted and bloodborne infections, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention an old favorite, crabs, otherwise known as crab lice or pubic lice. And with that, we'll turn to Oud Gallifrey for a reading about crabs.
Pubic lice. Are they in your home? No, just in your bush. Just kidding.
Crab people, crab people.
Look like crabs and talk like people. As soon as Leon said crabs, Richard and I were like, shing.
Oh, ancient memories from beyond the... Oh, man.
The crab people shall finally reign supreme. Crab people, taste like crab, talk like people. Crab people.
What are pubic lice? Also called crab lice or crabs, pubic lice are parasitic insects found primarily in the pubic or genital area of humans.
Fun fact, you should go into Google, and when you put things in quotation marks, it looks for that exact phrase. So instead of public library, I like to look up pubic library and see who's misspelled it on their website. Carry on.
Have to have some tiny books. Public lice infection is found worldwide and occurs in all... pubic lice infection is found worldwide and occurs in all races, ethnic groups, and levels of society. So what do pubic lice look like? Pubic lice have 3 forms. The egg, also called a nit, the nymph. Do they come in tree, water, and rock forms like in D&D? Okay. And the adult.
I found someone in Saskatoon who works as a library assistant for the Saskatoon Pubic Library.
Well, there you go.
Beautiful.
Everybody's going to be checking their Facebook now.
Nits. Nits are lice eggs. They can be hard to see and found firmly attached to the hair shaft. They are oval and usually yellow to white. Pubic lice nits take about 6 to 10 days to hatch. The nymph, who don't come in cool forms like fire and water.
But they fuck like crazy.
It's true. Is an immature louse that hatches from the nit. If I had a nickel for every time I told a partner that they fuck like a louse, I tell you. A nymph looks like an adult pubic louse, but smaller. Pubic lice nymphs take about 2 to 3 weeks after hatching to mature into adults capable of reproducing. To live, a nymph must feed on blood. The adult pubic louse resembles a miniature crab when viewed through a strong magnifying glass. Pubic lice have 6 legs. Their 2 front legs are very large and look like the pincher claws of a crab. This is how they got the name crabs. Pubic lice are tan to grayish-white in color. Female lay nits and are usually larger than males. And to live, lice must feed on blood.
I really want somebody to remake Dracula, but with pubic lice.
The internet probably
Characters.
has.
If the louse falls off a person, it dies within 1 to 2 days. So where are pubic lice found? Pubic lice are usually found in the genital area, on the pubic hair, but they may occasionally be found in other coarse body hair, such as on the legs, armpits, mustache, beard, eyebrows, or eyelashes.
That'd be embarrassing to have
Those are
pubic
epic
lice
eyebrows.
in your eyebrows.
Yeah. Just bonus pets that you carry with you. It's
Got it
great.
from a teabagging accident.
What if you're Ant-Man, except you're just like pubic louse man? Pubic lice on the eyebrows or the eyelashes of children may be a sign of sexual exposure or abuse. Lice found on the head generally are head lice and not pubic lice, but not always. Yeah, that's what the whole sheet says.
Okay, so in my script, I now have written in all caps, how to treat crabs story. So I'm going to tell the story. Now, I know a person.
This is a story. As in, like, not reference material, but like an actual story.
This is an actual story.
An anecdote, if
An
you
anecdote.
will.
I'm telling you an anecdote.
I prefer them steamed, a little bit of butter mixed with lemon and herbs. You know?
Okay, so I know someone, never mind who it is, who had pubic lice, got crabs. Went to the doctor after she had crabs. She was a she. Had crabs in her pubes. Went to the doctor. Doctor prescribed her a special shampoo to use for 2 weeks. Said shampoo twice a day with the shampoo, and it'll kill the lice. 2 weeks came, 2 weeks went. She still had the crabs. Went back to the doctor. Doctor, the crabs are still there. So he says, okay, we'll bring out the big guns. Writes her a prescription. She goes to the Shoppers Drug Mart, and they give her a box, a cardboard box, and inside is a fairly large packet and instructions on the side of the packet. She is instructed to fill her bathtub with the hottest water she can possibly tolerate, empty the contents of this package, which is a pinkish orange powder, into the tub, stir it up real good, and then sits bath style, drop her ass and bits into the tub while keeping her legs and arms stuck over the edges so they don't get in the wash. Sit there for 1 hour in this hot tub full of this orange pink powder. Then get out of the tub, dry off real quick, put on a pair of very tight underwear, and go to sleep. And when you wake up in the morning, your underwear will be full of dead lice.
That's upsetting.
And she did this, and it worked. And her underwear was full of dead pubic lice.
Well, that's awful, but at least it worked.
It's the special medication that doesn't make you feel very special.
What I'm most concerned about is watching the display over here. When he started putting something into the web browser, Rule 34 came up.
Oh, no. Pubic lice Rule 34?
Yeah, I don't know. Rule 34 was like one of the suggested links, and I'm like, oh.
Safe search is off.
Okay, shut it down. We've had enough internet. We've misused it. We need to take it away.
Okay, so now
that's actually some pretty good artwork there.
There's louse porn on the TV. For those of you that don't know, there's louse porn. Oh, actually,
crab people.
That is a CR4 D&D character right there.
Is there a difference between the lice that kids get at school and pubic lice? Or is it the same insect, just in different areas of the body? We're getting a few oohs and ahs. So
that's my head, by the way.
Admittedly, that's pretty nasty, but let's talk about head lice first.
Okay, head lice obviously mostly happens in kids, and it affects the nice fine hair up here. They generally like cleaner hair. A lot of parents think you get lice, it has something to do with hygiene. Actually, they don't like dirty hair. So and they're hard to get out. You got to use some of these shampoos and make sure you use the fine combs to get all the eggs out. And it's generally spread by close contact, sharing hats, sharing combs, things like that. But it's a different insect than the pubic lice.
Right, because pubic lice, it's similar, but the louse, it's a little different. And what the louse has is 3 legs on both sides, so it actually looks a little bit like a crab. Has anyone ever heard of the term crabs?
The spread is by a different type of contact, sexual contact. So it is an STD, and you basically, but it's one that you can get rid of, again, with the same type of products. But again, condoms won't protect you from this STD. So you have to be very careful because, again, they live in the hair around the pubic area.
Okay, so now that this unpleasantness is over, it's time for sauce number 4. The dominant pepper in this sauce is the red jalapeno, so it shouldn't be too bad. From the Half Moon Bay Trading Company in Atlantic Beach, Florida, this is the Bee Sting Pineapple Guava Pepper Sauce.
Bee sting?
Guano pepper sauce.
Yes.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
It's like a sweeter, more fruity version of the last sauce. It's still got like HP notes.
It's a flavor I've never had before.
Makes me feel like it's like tropical, like that guava.
Oh, and this one has a little heat that slowly descends in, but like, if the clouds are a high level of heat, this is just a little like fog on the ground. Yeah.
A very gentle heat, but a nice flavor to it.
Mm-hmm.
It's fruity, that tropical guava kind of thing.
Yeah,
It's good. I like it.
This would be like good with seafood, I think.
Yeah, seafood.
Some crab, maybe?
Dip in some shrimp.
Crab. Yeah,
Cocktail
get some
shrimp.
crab, put that on it.
Oh,
yeah.
Some cocktail shrimp on little toothpicks.
Fuck yeah.
Okay, so this sauce doesn't contain pineapple and guava. Rather, it contains the fruit pineapple guava, which isn't actually a true guava, but is rather Feijoa celoana, a flowering plant of the myrtle family, which grows on evergreen shrubs and trees up to 7 meters tall. The fruit, known as a feijoa, matures in autumn and is green, ellipsoid, and about the size of a chicken egg. It has a sweet, aromatic flavor. The flesh is juicy and is divided into a clear, gelatinous seed pulp and a firmer, slightly granular, opaque flesh nearer the skin. The fruit falls to the ground when ripe and at its fullest flavor, but it may be picked from the tree prior to falling to prevent bruising. The fruit pulp resembles the closely related guava, having a gritty texture. The feijoa pulp is used in some natural cosmetic products as an exfoliant. Feijoa fruit has a distinct, potent smell that resembles that of a fine perfume. The aroma is due to the methyl benzoate and related compounds that exist in the fruit. The methyl benzoate is related chemically to cocaine hydrochloride. The juice of the fruit is sometimes used by drug runners to throw drug-sniffing dogs off the trail of smuggled cocaine.
That's smart.
The pineapple guava is found throughout the highlands of Brazil, Paraguay, Uruguay, Argentina, and Colombia. They are cultivated as a non-native species in New Zealand, mostly as an ornamental tree. They are legal to grow in Canada, but must be brought indoors when temperatures fall below -9 Celsius. Pineapple guava are picky fuckers and need a particular soil in which to grow. Like Richard Bigley, they are slow to mature and bruise easily during shipping. Unlike Richard Bigley, they are often used in jams, jellies, and pie filling.
To our knowledge, anyway.
Well, Richard is just rarely used in jams, jellies, and pie filling.
So sauce number 5 is a
He
popular...
looks like he's filled some pies. Sorry.
Well, just tell your mother we ate it all.
Sauce number 5 is a popular staple at roadside cookhouses and diners around North America. Nearly as well known as Sriracha and Frank's Red Hot, this is Texas Pete Original Hot Sauce from the T.W. Garner Food Company in Salem, North Carolina, and the bottle says this is a medium.
Is there an old prospector on the bottle?
This is the Texas Pete.
It's a good, like, traditional hot sauce.
Oh, it's got a little whip dude. I was thinking Texas Pete was a prospector, but no, he's a cowboy.
Ooh.
It was boring.
Yeah, it's a traditional hot sauce sort of thing.
It's a bit sweeter on the front end.
Really? I didn't pick
No?
up any sweet, but...
I had to put it underneath my tongue to fit the cracker in my mouth.
I mention this every time, but my taste buds are all fucked up, so.
This is hitting the limit of not enjoyable anymore for me. Like, it's not painful yet, but it's not enjoyable.
This is real nice.
No, it looks like they're in pain there. He's in pain.
Not happy anymore.
I could fuck with this on some wings.
Yeah, we need to get, like, wings.
I think they've done that, actually.
I kind of want to drop that. I don't know.
The next Spicy Connections will do some wings, maybe.
Wings
What about me?
shrimps. We could get some shrimps, maybe.
I could fuck with shrimps. Or like cauliflowers.
Yeah, I could do cauliflower for Sage,
Oh,
and the
yeah.
rest of us could have wings.
Yeah.
Fuck you. Yeah.
It's probably healthier than how I eat normally. So
It makes me fart.
it makes you fart.
Okay, so
We'll do it at
at least
the end of
you're
the
honest.
Need two mics.
One popular cultivar of the pineapple guava is the Gemini. Gemini was also a set of space missions carried out by NASA in the 1960s. The Gemini series of missions were used to plan and test tools and techniques for docking two vehicles in space.
Is it Gemini or Gemini?
Gemini.
I'm coming to it.
Okay.
This was vital testing, as the later Apollo missions to the moon would require extensive docking and undocking maneuvers.
Apollo.
Project Gemini was NASA's second human spaceflight program. Conducted between projects Mercury and Apollo, Gemini started in 1961 and concluded in 1966. The Gemini spacecraft carried a 2-astronaut crew. 10 Gemini crews and 16 individual astronauts flew low Earth orbit missions during 1965 and 1966. Gemini's objective was the development of space travel techniques to support the Apollo mission to land astronauts on the moon. In doing so, it allowed the United States to catch up and overcome the lead in the human spaceflight capability the Soviet Union had obtained in the early years of the space race by demonstrating mission endurance up to just under 14 days, longer than the 8 days required for a round trip to the moon. Methods of performing orbital maneuvers necessary to achieve rendezvous and docking with another spacecraft, this left Apollo free to pursue its prime mission without spending time developing these techniques.
I'll rendezvous for docking in your spacecraft.
All Gemini flights were launched from Launch Complex 19 at Cape Kennedy Air Force Station in Florida. Their launch vehicle was the Gemini Titan II, a modified intercontinental ballistic missile. Gemini was the first program to use the newly built Mission Control Center at the Houston Manned Spacecraft Center for Flight Control. Now, the astronaut corps that supported Project Gemini included the Mercury 7, the New 9, and the 14. During the program, 3 astronauts died in air crashes during training, including both members of the prime crew for Gemini 9. And this mission was flown by the backup crew. Gemini was robust enough that the United States Air Force planned to use it for Manned Orbital Laboratory program, which was later canceled. Gemini's chief designer, Jim Chamberlain, also made detailed plans for cislunar and lunar landing missions in late 1961. He believed Gemini spacecraft could fly in lunar operations before Project Apollo and cost less. NASA's administration did not approve those plans. It is my belief that the biggest controversy surrounding the Gemini missions is the correct pronunciation of the word Gemini. Every sensible person pronounces it Gemini, but Gus Grissom, the astronaut architect of the program, insisted in a book he wrote just before he died in the Apollo 1 fire that the word is pronounced Gemini. Now, I'm not one to dishonor the dead, even if they are wrong, so I'll pronounce it the way old Gus wanted it pronounced.
So hold on. He said that it was supposed to be pronounced the wrong way and then promptly died in a crash.
Yeah.
So he was punished for his hubris, is what you're saying?
Yep.
Okay.
Gemini 8 sends up 2 rookies, Dave Scott and Neil Armstrong.
I really believed that we wouldn't have any trouble with the docking based on the simulations we did.
This is Gemini Control Houston. About 2 minutes ago, Neil Armstrong called in, and he was able to confirm that radar lock had been established.
The scene unfolds as if in slow motion.
We've got a visual on the Agena.
Even though both spacecraft are flying 10 times faster than a bullet.
Okay, Gemini 8, you're looking good on the ground. Go ahead and dock.
Armstrong and Scott nail it.
Flight, we are down. Roger, Big Brother is watching. I bet those Lockheed guys are just jumping up and down.
Mission Control celebrates the first docking in space, a necessary skill for Apollo's moonshot. Then Gemini 8 drifts around the Earth, out of contact with Houston.
Murphy's Law says bad things always happen at the worst possible time.
Without warning, the 2 docked spacecraft begin to spin.
We first suspected that the Agena was the culprit.
They shut down the Agena's control system. But the spinning gets worse, and the astronauts get dangerously dizzy.
When the rates became quite violent, I concluded that we couldn't continue. We had to get ourselves separate. I was afraid we might lose consciousness.
With blurry eyesight, they ditch the Agena, thinking that's the culprit.
so they back off from the Agena. And rather than the spinning slowing down, it speeds up.
When Houston gets back in range, they find the crew in crisis. The problem isn't the Agena. One of the capsule's own thrusters is stuck open, and they don't know it. It's now spinning once per second, and the crew is in danger of blacking out.
Neil realizes that the only way he's going to stop the spinning is to use the big thrusters.
The big thrusters are meant only for re-entry, but Armstrong has to engage them to wrestle Gemini 8 back from the brink.
Roger, copy.
The mission rules were that if you engage the re-entry system, that's the end of the mission.
They have to come home, making the U.S. space program's first emergency landing.
A lot of unexpected things happen, and usually they're not the ones you practice.
Sauce number 6 is Cheap Thrill Cayenne Hot Sauce. This sauce is made by Hot Shot Sauces out of Charlotte, North Carolina.
Don't look at me like that, big
Cheap Thrill Cayenne Hot Sauce. That was my dancing name.
I'm going to start to die. I can feel it. I can feel the death coming.
This is where the fun begins.
Did you eat it already?
Strap on in. Let's do this.
Strap.
Carry on my way.
Also, the 6th man on the moon has this weird thing where he believes in psychic powers and stuff like that. He actually started a institute to study psychic powers, and apparently conducted psychic experiments while on the surface of the moon with his friends. Yeah, I don't know. It's weird.
I liked that sauce.
That is a good sauce.
Stepping it up, are we?
I don't think this one's as hot as the last one was.
Or
I'm getting used to them. I'm not sure.
I think this one's like a pokier hot, and that last one was like a thuddier hot.
Yeah, this one kind of hits your tongue a little bit more aggressively.
Are we
I think.
using BDSM terms?
Yes.
Okay,
I
good.
prefer the
thought so.
thud.
Pokey versus thud.
I forgot what the real word was for it.
Are we going to have sex tonight? Because I might need to condom up or your vagina is going to burn.
Better double bag it.
I got so much hot sauce.
No one wants this tongue near their pee hole.
No, that's sauce number 11, the intervaginal taste test.
Oh, Lordy.
It's the forbidden sauce.
So I'd mentioned earlier that the Gemini capsules were launched on the Titan launch vehicles. Now, they were not the first spaceship to be launched on the Titan, and they certainly won't be the last. In fact, the Titan family of launch vehicles were still flying as recently as 2005. By that point, the booster series had graduated from Titan's Gemini 2 to the much more modern Titan 3E. This booster was most famously used to launch the Voyager 1 and Voyager 2 space probes, which are currently hauling ass out of the solar system and on their way to absolutely nowhere in a goddamn hurry.
Oh, I thought they had discs, not ass.
Depending on your idea of what constitutes the edge of the solar system, both Voyager probes have long since left. Now, the edge of the solar system, as far as I'm concerned, is the heliopause, which is the blurry line beyond which solar winds no longer blow and are countered by the interstellar medium. This is a fancy way of saying they're so far away from the sun that the sun's radiation no longer impacts them. Unfortunately, neither probe is headed in a particularly useful direction, and both are a few years away from having their nuclear fuel cells completely depleted. By this point, they'll no longer communicate with NASA's Deep Space Network of Communication satellites and will carry on into the interstellar void forever. Prior to fucking off entirely, NASA plans to ask them to send back one last packet of data about what space is like so far away from the sun. Now, distances between the planets in the solar system are often measured in astronomical units, or AU, defined as the average distance between the Earth and Sun, which is 1.5 times 108 kilometers, or 93 million miles. Venus, the closest planet to Earth, at its closest approach, is 0.28 astronomical units away.
AU.
Neptune, the farthest planet from the sun, is 29.8 astronomical units away.
Lordy.
And as of January 20th, 2023, Voyager 1, the farthest human-made object from Earth, is 159 astronomical units away.
And basically, there's a record with a bunch of sounds from Earth and languages and music and stuff like that. But there's also a gold plaque that contains nudes and directions back to our place.
Yeah.
I love that picture.
So the closest known star, Proxima Centauri, is approximately 268,332 astronomical units away, or over 9 times farther away than Neptune. So even if Voyager 1 was headed directly for Proxima Centauri, which it's absolutely not, it would not arrive until the year 82,376 CE, by which time humanity will probably have fucked ourselves into extinction.
Oh, yeah.
Stated another way, if the distance between the Earth and the Sun was 1 meter, the distance to Proxima Centauri would be 276 kilometers.
Fuck.
Far out.
Far out.
Whoa!
Far out, dude.
Back to the Titan launch vehicles. So the Titan IV was the last of the Titan family of rockets. It was retired in 2005 due to their high cost of operation and concerns over its toxic hypergolic propellants, and replaced with the Atlas V and the Delta IV launch vehicles under the National Reconnaissance Office's secret EELV program. The final launch, or B-30, from the Cape Canaveral, Florida Air Force Station, occurred on the 29th of April 2005, and the final launch from Vandenberg Air Force Base in California occurred on 19 October 2005. So the Titan IV was made up of 2 large solid-fuel rocket boosters and a 2-stage liquid-fueled core. The 2 storable liquid-fuel core stages used Aerozine 50 fuel and nitrogen tetroxide oxidizer. So these propellants are hypergolic, which means they ignite on contact with each other without requiring an external spark or heat source. And they're also liquids at room temperature, so no tank insulation is needed. This allowed the launcher to be stored in a ready state for extended periods, but both propellants are extremely toxic, which is the main reason the Titan was retired and replaced largely by the Atlas V, the Atlas V Heavy, and SpaceX's Falcon 9 and Falcon 9 Heavy. These launchers are used much safer liquid hydrogen as fuel and liquid oxygen as an oxidizer.
Rocket, this is the last Titan IV to be launched. This is a pretty historic day. It is October 19th, 2005. Scheduled launch is for 11:04 a.m. It's a beautiful day out. We're hoping for a great launch. And that's it.
Not yet. 2 minutes 20 seconds after launch, so I wasn't counting. So pretty soon you'll see them taper off, just like the shuttle.
Okay.
And you may see the contrail. You'll see the main engine start.
Go see, looking for the puff.
Yeah, you look for a puff in the trail, and it's 10 seconds after that. Whoa. Yeah.
So my only segue now is that SpaceX is run by a man who needs no introductions, but could use some time in an insane asylum, Elon
Richard
Musk.
Bigley.
Or even just a timeout box.
More on everyone's 64th most popular eccentric billionaire in a moment, but first, more sauce. So this next sauce comes in a cute little Mickey bottle. Sauce number 7 is Larceny Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey Hot Sauce, made by Heaven Hill Distilleries in Bardstown, Kentucky. This is a cayenne pepper sauce.
How do they get the aim for such a tiny bottle?
Yeah, looking kind of thick for bourbon.
It's just like a barbecue sauce.
Oh, there's flakes. What could those flakes be? Perhaps pepper?
That's good. It's that's a really nice barbecue sauce.
That'd be really, really fucking good on a rack of ribs.
Oh, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
That is a rib sauce.
Yeah.
I could see that causing some Kentucky windage.
It's got some parsley or something. Nah.
No, it's quite savory, but not spicy
Not
at all.
spicy for me.
It's got like a, you have like cilantro.
I love cilantro though.
Yeah.
It might be the cayenne. It's kind of like a smokier.
Because cayenne
pepper?
becomes chipotle.
Mhm.
Okay. I hit enough sweet notes that this is now good.
Okay, that's good. So I didn't really want to include Elon in my script because I don't really like him, and he gets enough press without Occultae Veritatis helping him out. But he's so insane that I have to include a little snippet about what he's up to in the world of heavy lift rocketry.
Allegedly insane.
Yeah. So here we go. SpaceX has single-handedly done what NASA never quite could, which is develop a series of rockets that are actually fully reusable. NASA tried and failed with the Space Transportation System, also known as the Space Shuttle program. In the mid-70s, NASA dreamt up the Space Shuttle as a way to boost the orbit of the Skylab space station, but it wasn't ready in time, and Skylab fell back to Earth, landing in Australia. With the Falcon 9 and later the Falcon 9 Heavy, and now most recently the Super Heavy and Starship, Elon Musk has opened up space to non-governmental organizations like universities and even flying high school experiments alongside its commercial payloads. But fuck Elon Musk and what he's done to Twitter. I'd like us to stop right now and all participate in a fun group venting activity. Starting with me and working clockwise, I'd like us all to say...
Working clockwise, eh?
Starting with me and working clockwise, I'd like us all to say one thing we hate about Elon Musk or some way in which he's angered us.
So you're at 12, I'm at 1, he's at...
So I start.
Okay.
I hate what he's done to Twitter. It used to be my best source of news, and now I really can't trust anything on it.
If it's, I don't know, I think my Twitter grievance is the blue check army, always with the hottest takes. And you're always like, well, I've never quite thought of your perspective before, and I never will again, to be quite honest.
He keeps on touting up just total bullshit scaremongering theories. Like, there'll be some guy talking about the Jewish question, like in a coded language on Twitter, and Elon Musk will be like, "Oh, thinking emoji reply.
Ooh, good point."
Yeah. Oh, we should look into that. Like, with every basis rumor that comes out there, he's like, he's like a gullible yuppie that suddenly has the voice of the entire world. You know?
I believe he's retweeted like some QAnon accounts and QAnon followers and figures.
Oh, and fascists and Nazis and all kinds of shit.
He named his goddamn child X-A12.
He's so desperate to be liked that he pushes everyone away with his shitty memes and everything else. I'm also going to take this free time to just say fuck Games Workshop right into the microphone.
I hate that we have to share a province with the woman who birthed him.
Oh, is that true?
Yeah, she's from Regina, his mom.
God damn it. Why are the Canadians infiltrating the world with shit?
I also hate that everyone thinks that he's some sort of genius when he just buys all of his ideas using money from his father's emerald mine.
Yeah. He said he started with the small loan of an entire diamond mine, you know.
Yeah.
Emerald.
And he bought PayPal.
Yeah.
Like, it's annoying that, like, when I first hear about, like, when I first heard about them, I'm like, oh, these are some really cool ideas. And then you hear more and you're like, and then there's another thing that, like, seems like it might be a possible, hopeful, like, possibly interesting, cool thing. And then it's just like, bleh.
Y'all remember that time when there was some kids in a cave and he was like, I'm gonna make a submarine that's flexible, and everyone's like, you're a fucking moron. He's like, well, they're pedophiles.
Yeah.
To the people trying to rescue the kids.
Yeah,
Wait,
I remember that.
He was going to build a flexible submersible?
Yeah, he wanted a submersible that was flexible to get around the corners.
That's called a wetsuit.
But a big round tube-shaped one.
But see, if we just had people with a wetsuit, I wouldn't invent it and be able to take credit for it. So there's the big problem.
Well, and the thing that annoys me about him is after he called one of the rescue, I believe it was a rescuer, a pedophile, went to court and Elon won. Like, this guy has this massive audience. He calls this other guy who's like a hero, a pedophile, and goes to court, and the judge sides with Elon. Did
he actually manage to prove that this guy was a pedophile, or just
I don't know, but
he was just allowed to call this person?
Yeah, I was just allowed to do it or whatever. So I don't know. What was it? I think it was the Beaverton, or maybe it was the Onion. Their follow-up headline was "Noted pedophile Elon Musk, wins his court case" or whatever. But yeah. There you go. And the picture of him with Ghislaine Maxwell, too. It's another one.
Yeah. Okay, so now that unpleasantness is out of the way, let's hit the next bottle of hot sauce. So sauce number 8 looks like a good one. This sauce comes to us from Heartbeat Hot Sauce in Thunder Bay, Ontario. It's called Louisiana-style Creole maple hot sauce. This sauce features a mix of hot peppers, including cayenne, chipotle, habanero, and Smokin' Ed's ghost pepper.
Creole.
Thank you.
It's going to be bad, dude. It's going to be a bad one.
Is it?
It's full of ghost. It's full of ghost.
I don't trust anything from a Smokin' Ed.
No, it's one of Smokin' Ed's peppers.
I learned from the Crone episode you don't trust things full of ghost.
Is it so ghosty I'm going to need to smudge or what?
Maybe. That's really good.
We leaving a smudge on this couch, maybe.
Oh, no. Oh, just the taste was spicy.
So ghosty, something haunted crawls out of my asshole.
Right.
That was a tasty one.
That was
lovely. That was good, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Oh, there's the heat.
Oh, yeah.
No dead yet?
Oh, yeah. He's
they're
suffering.
There.
Crying.
2 more?
2 more.
Okay, I can do 2 more. Oh, this hurts. No.
Oh, God, it went up my nose.
Oh no.
Oh.
Drink your tomato juice.
No.
I'm a weak Caucasian, man. I cannot do it. Ugh. Oh.
Slap on the face.
Oh, my God.
My ancestors ate potatoes for the past 2,000 years. I can't do it.
Oh, now that burn's starting to creep up. Eh?
Yeah, don't cough. It'll just go right everywhere.
Oh, into your nasal cavity and stuff, eh?
That's how it got up my nose.
Is there a paper towel nearby? My nose is dripping.
How about tomato skunk we got? Oh, is the tomato juice actually working?
Yeah.
It's like a lingerer. Like the spice stays.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of damage over time to come with that one.
That's what she said.
Oh my God.
There's a lot of heavy breathing, you guys.
Fuck. Oh.
I'm just hoping to impart some of the spice to the listeners so I don't have to deal with it.
Oh, fuck. I gotta take a second here, guys.
Oh, I got tears. I got tears. Do it.
Oh, there you go.
Oh. The only other times I'm breathing this hard is when I'm crying in gym class or having a lot of fun. This isn't...
Crying in gym class?
Or having a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah. No, the two are mutually exclusive.
That's what she said.
It's okay.
Okay.
That's what she said.
I'm so tough.
Okay, my next segue is the active ingredient in the last sauce, the ghost pepper. The ghost pepper is an interspecific hybrid pepper originally cultivated in northern India and then injected with some sort of pepper steroids by a man known only as Smokin' Ed.
Fuck you, Smokin' Ed.
In 2007, Guinness World Records certified that the ghost pepper was the world's hottest chili pepper, 170 times hotter than Tabasco sauce. The ghost chili is rated at more than 1 million Scoville heat units and far surpasses the amount of cayenne pepper. However, in the race to grow the hottest chili pepper, the ghost chili was superseded by the Trinidad Scorpion pepper in 2011 and the Carolina Reaper in 2013.
Hell yeah.
So this is only the third hottest pepper in the world now, but it's still 1 million Scovilles.
Okay.
In 2000, India's Defense Research Laboratory reported a Scoville rating for the ghost pepper of 855,000 Scoville heat units.
Holy shit.
And in 2004, a rating of 1,041,427 Scoville heat units was made using HPLC analysis. For comparison, Tabasco red pepper sauce rates between 2,500 and 5,000, and pure capsaicin, the chemical responsible for the pungency of pepper plants, rates at 16 million Scoville heat units.
Yeah.
In 2005, a New Mexico State University chili pepper... Oh, my fucking God. Institute... What?
Is that like the pick that the chili peppers play with versus the actual chili peppers themselves?
Burning.
Ready hot chili peppers playing the guitars? Yeah, great.
There's a really fun show on Netflix called We Are the Champions. And there's an episode about chili eating, and Smokin' Ed is in there, and it is wild.
Fuck yeah.
Is there Rule 34 on ghost pepper?
Oh, they're fucking...
Smokin' Ed?
Or Smokin' Ed?
The internet will
Oh
provide.
my gosh, crabs.
Did you forget it was up there?
That crab has fantastic tits. Look
There's
at
Crusty on there.
Yeah.
There's a little...
There's a lot of crusty.
I've never been more attracted to an STD.
I don't think I've ever been attracted to an STD until now.
Don't you just want to split her open and eat her from the inside?
Delicious.
Fuck, it's so hot, I'm crying.
You better not have the other two.
Well, I can't have the one.
Okay, so in 2005, New Mexico State University's Chili Pepper Institute in Las Cruces, New Mexico, found ghost peppers grown from seed in southern New Mexico to have a Scoville rating of 1,001,304 Scoville heat units. Unlike most peppers, ghost peppers produce capsaicin in vesicles, not only in the placenta around the seeds, but also throughout the fruit.
When people are seeding, they wear double gloves because the oil inside the peppers will actually eat through nitrile gloves. But that's not because they're protecting their hands. My hands are on fire all the time. That's because they're protecting the soft parts of their body. They take their gloves off before they go to the bathroom. See, where I was touching those peppers earlier is on fire right now. The air is actually spicy.
For more than 100 years, peppers have been measured using the Scoville scale. It was started by Wilbur Scoville in 1912. Originally, the level of spice was determined by 5 individual taste testers. But today, the level of heat is measured in a lab. And so Curry knows exactly how dangerous his peppers are.
It was subjective then. Now it's analytical. Everybody uses the same process. No one's tastes are involved. If you put my wife and had her eat a Reaper, she would tell you it's 10 million Scoville. If you have me eat it, I'll say, it's 100,000. You know, that's subjective. The machine doesn't lie. It measures everything the same way.
Curry works with a local chemist to find out exactly how much capsaicin is packed into his peppers.
We grind those peppers and emulsify them, and then we pump them through a machine called an HPLC, a high-performance liquid chromatograph. And that measures the different properties that are in a pepper. You can go for the tannins, capsaicinoids, flavonoids, coloring agents, whatever you want to do. We analyze all of it. There's a very specific math equation that you put the area of the peaks in to come up with the Scoville heat units.
All this obsession with heat might seem crazy, but it couldn't come at a better time. America's appetite for spice is getting bigger and bigger every year.
I believe it's because the changing demographic of America, they brought with them food that we never had before. I mean, when I was growing up, there were no Thai restaurants, there were no African restaurants, Caribbean restaurants, Indian restaurants. But as the demographic of America changed, they brought in their food cultures, and we got exposed to that.
And then there's the internet, where people post painful videos of themselves eating peppers constantly.
Hot sauce is now a mainstream thing. People are always doing some crazy stunt with it. This didn't happen 10 years ago.
Despite these warnings, business is good, and Curry gets to spend most of his days surrounded by what he loves the most.
I get out of bed at 3:30 in the morning just to go and play with peppers. And I stay there all day long on fire, eating them all day long. This is my happy place.
So if you thought you were done with the ghost pepper today, you'd be wrong, because our next sauce is packed full of it. I've been wanting to try this sauce ever since I saw it on Hot Ones a few seasons ago. Sauce number 9 is the Queen Majesty Cocoa Ghost Hot Sauce. This sauce is packed with ghost and habanero peppers and allegedly tastes like chocolate. The kind of molten chocolate fondue that melts your taste buds and burn holes in the lining of your stomach. This sauce was made in Queens, New York.
Yeah.
My body is ready.
Oh no.
That's a fair bit. That's a fair bit.
This is gonna die.
I want to try this, but I need to like split the cracker.
Mmm.
This is bad. This
No,
is
let's
real
go.
bad. This looks like it came out of a grease trap, I'll be honest.
Yummy.
I'm looking at it, but my body is not letting me put it in. Okay. Yeah. Less spicy.
Sure. I'll use it to blot my greasy forehead.
You should have just psyched us out and like threw sriracha sauce on us.
Ketchup.
Yeah. Spicy mustard. Oh yeah.
Sage is fine. Sage is like, whatever.
That was a really good sauce.
I'll
I'd
admit
have that
that.
like, I would have that sauce.
These Spicy Connections episodes making me think that we have 2 demons on the podcast, and one of them is Sage.
Well, that is spicy.
Okay. So this sauce was made in Queens, New York. Queens, New York sits on the East River across from Manhattan. The East River isn't actually a river, but is in fact a tidal basin whose current reverses twice daily, changing direction with the tides. The East River, which is at least 20 feet deep throughout its 6-kilometer length, is a hot spot for U.S. Navy activity, including the testing of submarine technology. Submarine navigation systems are tested in the East River because it is noisy. What I mean by that is that there is a lot of surface traffic that creates a lot of interference with submarine sonar systems, which is why it makes sense to test them there. Sonar, or sound navigation and ranging, or sonic navigation and ranging, is a technique that uses sound propagation, usually underwater, as in submarine navigation, to navigate, measure distances, called ranging, communicate with or detect objects on or under the surface of the water, such as other vessels. Sonar can refer to one of 2 types of technology. Passive sonar means listening for the sound made by vessels. Active sonar means emitting pulses of sounds and listening for echoes. Sonar may be used as a means of acoustic location and measurement of the echo characteristics of targets in the water. Acoustic location in air was used before the introduction of radar. Sonar may be used for robot navigation, and SODAR, an upward-looking in-air sonar, is used for atmospheric investigations. The term sonar is also used for the equipment used to generate and receive the sound. The acoustic frequencies used in sonar systems vary from very low, or infrasonic, to extremely high, ultrasonic. The study of underwater sound is known as underwater acoustics or hydroacoustics. The first use of the technique was in 1490 by Leonardo da Vinci, who used a tube inserted into the water to detect vessels by ear. It was developed during World War I to counter the growing threat of submarine warfare, with an operational passive sonar system in use by 1918.
I feel like I could bake a cookie in my mouth.
Modern active sonar systems use an acoustic transducer to generate a sound wave which is reflected from target objects. Aquatic animals such as dolphins are known to use sonar extensively. And you know what other animal uses sonar to navigate in the dark at night?
Bats!
Our little friend, the little brown bat. Boom! Segue for the win.
Well, I was just going to ask if any indigenous cultures use sonar in their traditional hunting practices or foraging practices, but that now sounds a little racist if I insert that after the little brown bat joke.
I had a buddy in high school who was completely blind, and when he was walking around in rooms, he would click his tongue to detect walls, and he could not crash into them. Anyway, that's the end of Leon's Spicy Connections 3. But before we say goodbye, we have to tackle sauce number 10. This last sauce is less of a condiment and more of a dorm room prank. The bottle is tiny, just 22 mils, but it claims to be the world's hottest hot sauce.
No!
This sauce is called Habanero Hot Sauce from Hell, and the bottle says it's beyond hot.
I don't want to take on the hottest of anything.
I meant to say this earlier. I want you to test your submarine in my river.
Okay.
Just one question for you. Why do you hate us?
It's the...
That's not hot.
That's all over your crotch.
Continue to drop it.
Oh, don't poison the dog.
It's not hot.
Yeah, okay.
No, it's not. Like the other ones were hotter. The last two were hotter.
Yeah.
Okay.
Huh.
The last two are like way hotter than this one. It was false advertising.
I'm disappointed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it'd be really nice on eggs. I would feed this to my 9-year-old. Yeah, you could probably handle more. It's not hot.
You know, I took a bunch of straight sauce before I ate the cracker, and I don't think it's as hot. Damn it! The tiny bottle led me to believe I was gonna die today.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the true revenge of the spice. False expectations.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't even tasty.
No.
Anyway, sorry, now Sage has a reading.
I was forgotten.
Good segue.
It's a little hot, but it's not bad.
No, it's fine.
Because it comes back to little brown bats.
It does. I was like, it's my time to shine, and then you're like, and milk for Occultae Veritatis. Coring accumulations of bat guano can be useful in determining past climate conditions. The level of rainfall, for example, impacts the relative frequency of nitrogen isotopes. In times of higher rainfall, 11N is more common. Bat guano also contains pollen, which can be used to identify prior plant assemblages. A layer of charcoal recovered from a guano core in the U.S. state of Alabama was seen as evidence that a woodlands tribe inhabited the cave for some time, leaving charcoal via the fires they lit. Stable isotope analysis of bat guano was also used to support that the climate of the Grand Canyon was cooler and wetter during the Pleistocene epoch than it is now in the Holocene. Additionally, the climatic conditions were more variable in the past.
Nice.
Beautiful.
I did it!
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All came back to little brown bats that are going endangered.
Yeah.
Yay.
Okay, so for Occultae Veritatis podcast, my name is Leon Filger, along with
Sage Murray.
Richard Bigley.
Feeling cock-teased by the spice Hoot Gallifrey.
The Sound War Demon.
Don Kessler and his sweaty eyes.
L.E.B. Love you, bye.
Demons from hell like the hottest sauce. That's why Sage is the hottest demon sauce lord.